What's up, YouTube? In this video, we're going to go over my top 3 stock picks for October 23rd, the week of October 23rd. But before we dig in, we got a few things to go over. First of all, we have a pretty heavy earnings week. We got Microsoft and Google on Tuesday, Wednesday, Apple and Meta, and Thursday, Amazon and MasterCard. And we've also got a couple oil companies reporting earnings on Friday as well. So a pretty good amount of earnings. I think that's going to really push this market one way or another, unless earnings are come in as expected. And maybe it doesn't do anything, but we'll find out. The other thing we got is a little bit of news. We got PMI on Tuesday, and Thursday we got some durable goods, and Friday we got PCE reporting. So a little bit of news coming in this week as well. And then on top of it, though, the big elephant in the room is the SPY is wondering where the heck this thing is going to go, because currently trading pre-market, we're trading at 419.80, and this thing, the low of this candle here was 420.18. So we're gapping down again. We're breaking below this candle a little bit. So we are holding on by a thread on this this upward trend line here. So it's setting up at the bottom of this channel here on earnings, on a big earnings week. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. Might not be a great week for swing trades if this thing breaks, but we'll talk about that as we get to each one of these swing trades that I have for an idea. Idea number one here is gonna be Pin Duo or PDD Holdings anymore. It's they changed their name, so it's PDD Holdings. Ticker symbol PDD. Year to date, this company's up 21.5%. Course of 1 year, 83.9%. They do not report their earnings until the end of November. So on the stock chart for PDD here, we're going to go to the daily chart. We're in this macro uptrend here, and we've trended up to these convergence of several trend lines here. And what we're doing technically is we're making higher highs and higher lows. I'm anticipating this to resume higher here, bounce off this trend line and continue higher. But before I get in, I'm not just going to get in. I'm going to wait for this thing to break above this candle of $105.30-ish per share. I'm going to look for an entry in that range. I'm going to put my stop loss down here. I'm going to keep my stop losses pretty tight, because if the markets roll over, a lot of other, pretty much everything else is going to go with it, right? So I'm going to keep stop losses pretty tight on these going forward here until the market decides to make a, have a clear direction, and especially an upward direction. Because if we're locked in a downward direction for a while, swing trades are off the table for me for quite a while. But so we'll see what happens. So that's what I'm looking for is 105.50, stop loss down here at 102. I'd look for an exit around 112, at least for part of my position. At least move my stop loss up to break even. Look for a move up to here, and then see if we can't make a new high, probably exit out at a new high. So pick number 2, we have Cpng. Over the course of 1 year, up 18%. Sorry, year to date up 18%. Over the course of 1 year is up 7%. Earnings on this one is reporting on November 9th. So on Cpng, I'm kind of looking for a similar situation. So we can see when we looked at the market, we'll hop over that to a second. It pulled back with the market, and it bounced back up with the market, but has sat sideways as the market has sold off. Cpng, the pattern was very similar, but Cpng did not sell off, whereas the market did sell off. So I'm anticipating some relative strength to the market on this one. But again, this is one I'm not just going to get into. I want this to come to me. I'm looking for $18 per share with a stop loss of probably about 17.25 ballpark range on that one. And I would look for a resumption at least up to the back test this downward trend line for a potential double top range. So that's what I'd be looking for on this one, but we'll have to wait and see again with what the market does. So pick number 3 for me. This one's going to be a little bit tough. This one's SolarEdge, ticker symbol SEDG. Year to date, this company's down 71%. Course of 1 year, 58% down. Now, the big thing that they did last week was they submitted gave a little bit of forward guidance into Q3, saying how earnings aren't going to be as good as what they thought, and they weren't even going to be good to begin with. Not going to be even worse than what they thought, because Europe apparently is pushing out orders in their backlog. So then they're not going to bring in as much revenue as expected. So the whole solar industry on last week just got destroyed. And as we can see on Friday, it was down 27%. So we'll see. This one's again not one just to jump into, but what I'm expecting on SolarEdge. So we bounced off this trend line here, and we made a huge jump higher, about $10. So I'm assuming, and we'll see, I don't know, that typically in the stock market, every reaction is an overreaction. Typically, when there's a big news like this, it's ready, fire, aim. So right now, I think we're on the aim side of things. So there's a chance we can get a little bit of a bounce out of this one. I would probably intraday trade this one. I probably would not do too much of a swing trade. So I would look for an entry above $85 per share. If we can get $85 per share, currently pre-market, we're trading at about 82.28. If we got $85 per share, I would put a stop loss at about $77 per share. And I'd like to see if we can't get this thing back up to this trend line here, which would be about $97 per share. So we'll have to wait and see on this one. That's my guess, is hoping to grab this one, just ride it up a little bit, and then this thing might resume back lower. We'll have to wait and see. But I don't. The only thing that gets me a little excited on this one is the amount of volume that came in on this day, and it wasn't a sell-off volume. It was a buying volume by the looks of it, because it was a green day. It initially sold off a little bit, but really it recovered very nicely. So very big candle here in the 1 hour chart. Come to the 5 minute, we sold off initially, but recovered. Initially just everything. There was buying pressure. There wasn't selling pressure. So I'm wondering if what we're going to have here is a potential for a move back up higher to maybe potentially fill this gap eventually, but I don't know that's going to happen too quickly because of the solar industry just beating down so much. But you got to think eventually there's got to be a bottom, right? So you just obviously you never know where the bottom's going to be, but that's what I'm looking for in Solar Edge is an entry above $85 per share, a stop loss down here at 77, and a move back up. At least we'll have to wait and see where that move appears to be getting tired, but my first exit or at least break even point would be $95.50 and see if maybe we can't get a little bit more out of it. So we'll have to wait and see. Those are my top 3 picks for this week. If you found value in this video, drop a like, subscribe, comment, and we'll be back later, or actually next week, with another top 3 pick video.